Yo, welcome to Faith and Fire Podcast. A podcast is all about celebrating and sharing God's wisdom, insight, revelation, hope, and love, one conversation at a time. Baby, we back. We are back in the building. Hey, me and my homeboy, CG. Look, he is, man, look, this man's such a blessing. I can gloat on him because that's my partner right there. You see that? You see that handsome face right there? Come on, kid. Hey, look, man, I'm excited about being back in the studio, getting things going again because it has been a little bit, but we've been lifing.
Well, I mean, you know, I think there was a wedding in there. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Congratulations, my boy.
Thank you.
You know.
Thank you. Blinging on him.
You know what I'm saying?
My man's
you know
is took again.
I'm married now.
Man, listen.
Talk to me.
Man, you know what's crazy? I had a few people, they hit me up and they're like, man, congratulations, man. How does it feel to be married?
Yeah,
and I'm just like, it feels since I've been with babe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you, and that's going to be an episode, when you are already navigating as a husband, transitioning into it officially.
Boy, that's a whole, that ain't what we came to talk about today. But you know, our boy.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Once you step into it officially,
indeed.
there really ain't, there's not a change.
Right.
You guys just know it official.
Right.
I've been moving like that already.
Right.
And yeah, we definitely gonna talk about it because when men settle their hearts, we pretty much lock it in right there.
Right.
The moment I settle my heart on, it's gonna be me and you, then that's it.
Right.
The only thing left to do is official tissue. You know what I mean? Otherwise, that's how we're navigating. Yeah, that's gotta be another talk. It does. But since we there, go and hit me with another.
You bring up a great point though, and that is when you're already navigating that way, right? And I know that's not the topic of today's conversation, but he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor with the Lord, I believe. But that means she was already a wife when you found her.
Come on, man.
Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Come on, man. Listen, look, the next time we in here, that's what we're gonna talk about.
Okay,
we're gonna hit that the next time we're here. So that's gonna be comeback episode number 2.
All right,
let's come back episode number 2.
I'm ready for that.
Right now, though, what we're gonna get into, and I'm looking forward to this particular subject matter because it's something that kind of came up. Now, granted, you know, we had service this morning, so my mind was it was really on that. And like I'm sitting up here thinking, I'm like, you know what? I did tell CG I'm gonna make sure we have a solid topic. So I'm like going through this long list of stuff, and I'm just like, all right, God, I need you to, what you got? Where we going with it? So this is what we got. This is where we at. The power of reframing.
All right.
Is what we gonna be talking about on this episode of Faith and Fire. The power of reframing. And you know what's really awesome? The first thing that comes to mind though is being a walking contradiction in a good way.
Okay.
In a good way.
Talk to me. Tell me about it.
So if we're going to be reframing, right? The power of reframing. Essentially what we're talking about is changing the narrative of different things that come up against us, right? So essentially it's like we want to take the narrative of a problem and reframe it as an opportunity.
Okay.
Right? We want to take the narrative of a weakness and reframe it as a strength.
Okay.
We want to take the narrative of impossibility and reframe it as a distant possibility. Okay. Right? So navigating essentially as a walking contradiction. I'm going to contradict, what now says.
Okay.
Because see, right now,
so changing my perspective.
Change your perspective.
Okay.
Because
so
right
glass
now,
is half full
versus half empty.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, you can have seriously. I mean, that's really what it boils down to is perspective. And I was talking with a young lady with regards to perspective some time ago. You know, was lending some counseling, and what she was really having a tough time with was work. like finding a job had been really tough for her.
Okay.
And the waiting, right? We've talked about that some time ago, man. There's been messages about that. Waiting well is not easy.
Right.
She was having a tough go at it. So the waiting well part, not really going too hot for her. But it's like, okay, you still have to wait well. And if you're going to wait well, then what is it that you're going to need to do in your waiting? And the first thing that comes to mind is change your perspective. Change what you think waiting well is.
Okay.
Waiting well is not waiting impatiently.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Waiting well is not waiting, however, I'm still going to do some stuff to see if I can help along what it is I'm waiting for.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't include worry.
At all,
Okay,
man. If you're going to pray, don't worry. If you're going to pray, don't worry. You cannot pray and worry. It doesn't go together.
Right.
So
right.
there's a couple of other ones, but like, let's hit those first three first. So from a definition perspective,
let me do this. Before we even get into reframing.
Yeah.
Can we? When you first sent me this, I was thinking, okay, reframing, but what's framing? Right? You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted to touch on that, right? And so the what I looked up when I first saw it was, what's the importance of a picture frame?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, why do we frame a picture to begin with, right?
Ooh.
And so what I found, courtesy of my friends on Google, are we frame a picture for its protection.
Right.
We frame a picture to separate the art from its surroundings. From, if it's a wall art, right, the frame helps to put a barrier, if you will, between the picture itself and the wall around it.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So
Man.
And so then it can enhance the look, right? Depending on the frame, it can enhance it, right? So if I go in, so I've got this, now I may have a bad frame or a broken frame, and so I'm gonna reframe it to either give me protection, right? To protect the image, right? I'm gonna reframe it to separate, maybe I've changed the color now, but it needs to be separated differently from the surroundings, from its surroundings. And then, then it could just enhance. And so I just wanted to touch on what framing is to begin with. And then, because some of the things are framed wrong. I mean, we reframe because they were framed wrong to begin with, right? The glass was never half empty, to go back to that. It was always half full, but we didn't,
But CG, why you do it to me? Because why did you have that glass to begin with?
That's it.
What was you doing with a glass that was that big? You can't handle a glass that big. So now everything that God has that he put in it, you're thinking it's half.
But we're upset because it's not overflowing, right? And so, but you have a glass.
But you still got a glass.
You still got a glass. And there's a process that we have to go to in waiting well for this glass to then become full, right? And then it will overflow. But okay, I'm sorry.
No, come on. Go back to the frame though. Come on, go back to the frame,
so,
CG,
but yeah,
just
the first one, we frame art to protect it, right?
Yeah.
So are we looking at the situation or what we're going through or whatever it is, are we protecting? Are we looking at it through a lens that protects the idea or the promise or whatever it is? Am I even protecting that? Am I protecting that with my tongue, right? Am I protecting that with my actions, whatever it is that I'm believing, and for God to do in my life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I just speaking of that in a protective frame, if you will? You know what I'm saying? To protect what God is going to do. It hadn't done yet.
Yeah, but it's coming.
Right.
Man, you know what is really also interesting about just thinking about picture frame is that sometimes I've seen frames utilized as just that, just the frame. There's no picture.
Right.
It's just a frame because the frame is beautiful enough.
Right.
Or the frame is ornate enough. Right. But then there's also the kind of the perspective of frames not just not being used properly, but frames purposefully being put on pictures or images that it really doesn't fit. Right. You put a round frame, which is kind of hard to do, but you get a round frame and you put it on a square picture. Right. But what you're trying to do is create some sort of abstract vision. Right. You're trying to create some sort of abstract or artistic representation of whatever this art looks like. The problem is when we don't frame correctly, you may be thinking, well, I want to frame this way. Whatever my circumstance is, I'm going to frame it this way. Well, you could essentially be making yourself look really silly because not only are you not framing it positively, right, or changing your perspective, right, you're now framing it in such a way that just looks so bizarre that, now people are not looking at you with any type of admiration or awe or whatever. Like, they're kind of just looking at you like, man, what is happening? What are you doing, dude? Like, why would you do that? And I think that does happen. In the spaces that we navigate a lot, right? Not just, work, but church. Like, we don't always say it, but we're expected to frame things properly. Because of what the Word of God says, right? We're supposed to frame things in a way that are going to be holistically positive based off the Word of God and His promises. But when you got somebody that's out here testifying, right, showing off their frame, and that giant's just weird. Like, what do you do about that? Why would you display a frame in that manner? I don't get it. But hopefully, as we continue to unpack this, you guys are going to see a little bit more of what CG was just talking about with regards to the picture frame. What else you got for me, bruh?
Just that the situation or the promise, right, or the word, right, needs to be framed. But the other thing that stood out to me as well is that Psalms 139 for I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, man, and that my soul knoweth right well. So could it be possible that I could be a work of art that needs to be framed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That needs to be protected.
Yes, sir.
Right? That needs to stand out against its surroundings. That can, you know what I'm saying? I mean, so do I need to frame myself, right, and properly, and kind of to what you were just talking about earlier? Are people walking around with some bogus frames?
Bruh.
I mean, this is a different type of frame, right?
Right.
But if you are visually challenged like I am, you get the opportunity to wear glasses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you see somebody with some specs and you're like, oh man, I like those glasses, what you're complimenting him or her. Right. You're complimenting them on their frames.
Yes.
Because of the style of the frame, right?
Yeah.
And,
not the fact that they can see good.
Right.
Because that perspective you don't have.
I don't have exactly.
You don't have it.
Exactly.
And they could, have that prescription could be really, really old.
Right. The glasses could be a great looking frame.
Clean.
But they keeping it because they like the way they look.
Yeah.
But are the frames sometimes, right? I remember, so I don't even pick up glasses without talking to somebody. I'm like, and I'll take pictures and I'm like, how do these look?
Yeah.
They're like, that's too little for your face. That's too big for your face.
Yeah.
That's not you. You know what I'm saying? So the frames, do the frames fit me? You know what I'm saying? Does it And when I find the right frames, they'll be like, okay, those are the frames for you. Okay, so those, you know what I'm saying, make me look better in the environment. Okay, I'm sorry.
No. CG. Bruh, you just said something right there, Doc. Listen, you get the frames and you make sure that somebody else takes a look at you.
Absolutely, yes.
To say, hey, yes, that works or it doesn't work.
Yes.
Because once you put them on, you can't see them.
Right. Especially when I'm trying out the glasses, because the frames that are in the eyeglass store don't have my prescription lenses in them.
At all.
So I'm blurry when I look at myself in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get it. I have a general idea, but I take a picture, I take a selfie, and I send that off, usually to my sister or, you know, and then I'm like, hey, how do these look?
Somebody trusted.
Somebody I trust that can be like, nah, that ain't you, bruh. That's not. Or, no, okay, that's you. I see you.
So,
I see you.
In reframing, it's necessary to involve someone we trust.
Absolutely.
Am I seeing this right? Am I looking at this right?
Correct.
This is what I'm thinking about my situation. Am I looking at this right? Man, but you also said something. In the process of picking your frame, right? Figuring out how to frame, what you know is your vision of your circumstance, or at least of how to frame it, is skewed.
Until my lenses come in, right?
Until you get clarity.
Oh, hold on, I get this button. I like the wrong button.
Hey, we'll do that. I'm saying, until you get clarity, man.
That's
your
it.
vision is skewed.
I've got to depend on somebody else until I get the clarity that I need.
But wait, here's a caveat. Are you somebody that can be called on to help someone frame? Ooh. Are you somebody that can be called on to give a full-throated answer, or at least some counsel on whether or not somebody is framing a perspective correctly or not? Man, I hope I'm seen as somebody that can be called on. I hope I'm seen as somebody that can be called on, because that right there, that's the kicker for me.
Good point.
That makes so much sense, man, because like you said, a lot of it has to do with the fact that, one, you want to get the perspective of someone trusted. There's already an impeded vision or an impaired vision to actually see it and understand what's going on with this particular frame. Does it fit? Does it even look right? Am I going about this correctly, man? That's powerful, bro.
Am I giving off the look that I want to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you can think, well, it's like when you're putting your socks on in the dark. Oh, these are the black socks. And then you get out there in the sunlight. No, baby, those is blue.
One of them Johns was blue, and the other ain't even that joint brown.
All right. So now you're really looking crazy. And
man,
so am I giving off? I think this is the way that I'm representing myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But am I really misrepresenting myself with the wrong frame?
Don't even know it. Don't even know it. Y'all, man. Oh my gosh. That's why I love this dude. I'm telling you, Faith and Fire is back, baby. Listen, that's powerful. So, in thinking about the frame, CG, one of the scriptures that comes to mind, and I mentioned it in Sunday service. Shout out, called out ministries. So during service, I was sharing the perspective of who we are in God.
Okay.
And one of the things that's really dope, because what we're going to be talking about in our next service is creating a symphony. And so I was sharing dope perspective that God had given me, and it actually became a part of my vows, right? So when I got married to Lady B, shout out to my sweet pea, Lady B. So this is what God gave me. There's a scripture that says in Ephesians 2:10, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." Right? So what are we framing? Because you essentially shouldn't just frame anything. What you should be framing, like you're saying, something that you protect, something that needs to be displayed properly, something that needs to be framed properly, something that you want to bring attention to,
right.
purposefully.
Right.
Those things get framed, right? So we're God's workmanship. But what's really awesome about that particular passage is the word workmanship in the Greek actually translates to poema, which is also something made, right? So it just further translates down. But once you kind of pull apart or sub-translate poema, that's where we get the word poem.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Right? That's also where we get the term or the phrase sheet of music. So
Right.
we are, in essence, a sheet of music that God created. Okay? So
A work of art.
And the beauty of marriage, and dare I say in this context, the beauty of any significant coming together, right? Whether it's familial partnership or community, whether it is work related, right? Ministerially, relationally, familially, romantically, the coming together of two separate sheets of music, that's a miracle within itself. Because we still have to play our music. I'm going to hear you. I'm going to hear your tempo changes. I'm going to hear your rhythmic changes. I'm going to hear your modulations. I'm going to hear how you're playing. So I have to play with you, but not because of you.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
Right? I have to play with you, but not because of you. Meaning, if you do something different, I have to still play the way I'm supposed to play.
Well, because the complementary play is not the exact same play.
Exactly. But the overarching picture is going to be something amazing.
Right.
We can't always hear it, but it's going to be heard, right? So like that picture that we frame, we may not always understand while we're in the frame what's being seen.
Right.
But we got to know that what's seen, like how people are looking at us, how people are viewing us, and how we navigate these situations, all that's being seen. Right. So the kind of beauty of understanding that we have to work together in order to make sure that we're playing beautiful music. Like you said, back to that accountability, or at least that trusted person that's going to help me frame. Like if I was playing off, I would hope my homeboy would be like, hey, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
You going ham on them cymbals.
Right.
And I don't think that's where you're supposed to be going.
Right.
That don't sound right. That doesn't even sound like how you've played before.
Right.
What are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
And the beauty of that, especially, and it's so funny when I saw today, when I saw what you're creating the orchestra for you guys next week, I was like, wow, because I don't know, man, maybe it was earlier this year. I got the opportunity to go to a symphony, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, and it was one of Beethoven's deal, and I'm like, how do you write this in 18th century, 17th, whenever he was, 19th century, whenever, and I'm just not a music buff like that. But what I know is he did not have the technology that he had, that we have today.
I'm saying.
So how do you hear all of this music to be able to, you've got to hear it in your head to be able to get it, to pen it to paper and all this. And I want violins to do this. And while the violins are going high, I need these drums to come in at a very low rate. Right. But it's a complementary play. And I think what we miss, especially when we translate that over to relationships, right, is the complementary play is not the same play, right? I don't make the exact same moves, right? If we're as the body of Christ, right, the feet don't do what the hands do.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Doc. And so, Doc.
You know, when we're in relationship or we're working together on something, my complementary play or this orchestra play, it doesn't mean I do exactly what you do. We're not in competition together. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make a move that is complementary to yours. When I got into photography business, I was getting great at shooting.
Yeah.
I was not great at editing, right?
Okay.
And so in a dating relationship, and she learned photography, editing. That's the complementary play.
Right.
Right. She wasn't trying to learn how to shoot with me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or be a, or
she wasn't getting in the, she wasn't
right,
reaching
or
in
trying to
your
be a
bag.
better shot. Right.
Right.
I mean, she picked up on the other side of that, and so that's complementary. The complementary play, and so that's playing with somebody, but not playing. It's not playing what they play, but playing with them.
Yes.
If that makes sense. And I'm not a music person, so
no, but that makes total sense. So here's what's dope. I'm about, oh man, CG is doing it to me. You know what? All right, so here's where we going. Here's where we going right here. Let me make sure I'm in the right. Version. Okay. Ephesians 4:16. This is out of the King James Version. From whom the whole body, fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, maketh increase of the body unto the identifying of itself in love. Now, there's some these and thus and thous in there, right? So that's King James. Let's go ESV and see how it pan out there. Okay. So one thing that in called out ministries, also I know at the Harvest where CG serves, what we definitely try to make sure we're doing when we're presenting any scripture is make sure that we're giving it to you in context, right? So verse 16 of Ephesians 4 actually starts with a word in the middle of a sentence, right? So I'm going to start at the beginning of the sentence, which is coincidentally or incidentally verse 15, right? Okay. So rather speaking the truth in love. Wait a minute. If you are reframing, and if that frame is truth, and this is what I think is my truth, because this is all I can see right now. I think that this frame is my truth. If I have my brother that is speaking truth in love, saying, "Nah, bruh, that's not the right way to look at this."
But is the frame truth or is the frame love? It's truth in love.
Truth in love, yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
I'm speaking truth, but I frame the truth in love.
Yes, yeah, man. I'm not doing this with you, Charles Goady.
What in the world? But because that's it, right? Because if I do something, because we can do a lot of things, but we don't do them in the frame of love.
And God is what?
Love.
And if we don't have love, then we can't say we're of God.
Correct. So when we speak, when we act, we have to do it in the frame of love.
Yep. And he says the truth will make you free. Mm-hmm. So even if I think I am framing this in love, if it doesn't provide liberty, if it's not freeing, then that may not be the truth. Mm-hmm. And we need to look at this thing again.
Well, because so many times folks be like, well, I said the truth. Yes, you did, but there was no love. And so it wasn't received. It was right. And it hurt. So, because there are things in this is being married and all, there are some uncomfortable conversations that we have to have. There are some things that are they're just difficult, right? They're just because of who we are, and they're just, if you may think that you're a good cook, but if it's like, well, baby, right? And so I have to have this conversation with you to say, you're not going to make the mac and cheese for Thanksgiving this year. You're going to let somebody else do the mac and cheese this year.
You better not be putting extra stuff in that macaroni and cheese. Okay. What's wrong with you? But I did it out of love. Yeah, but we all were sick the next day. From your love.
So I've got to give you the truth, but I have to put it in that right frame. And that, when I do that, that's the protection.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That it get, because now this truth doesn't just hurt you, but it helps you grow. It helps you to heal and be better going forward, because it was framed that way.
And you know what though? Even speaking to, truth and love, like the fact that you're right, it puts both of these together, speaking the truth in love. We can certainly look at the sword like that, right? The Bible tells us that the sword is sharper than any two-edged sword. Like, it cuts soul and spirit. Like, it gets all the way down to the marrow.
Right.
Because with precision, and Dr. Candace Williams, and man, I can't wait for you to meet her. Dr. Candace Williams, shout out to Dr. Candace. She actually had mentioned this during service, and she was like, man, it's surgical. It's surgical.
Yeah.
Like, it goes in and it does what it has to do. But on the way out, it heals.
Mm-hmm.
Going in, it cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out, it heals. And it's just like, man, when you really think about being able to have someone in your life that helps you look at the framing of what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can speak truth and love, it may cut going in. Because it's difficult. It's hard. I'm having to see something that I haven't seen before.
Right.
But once it comes out, and now your perspective has shifted, your framing has shifted, that heals you.
Right.
Man, that's powerful. Okay, let's finish up this passage though. So rather, speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ, for whom the whole body, joined and held together by every joint with which it is equipped, when each part is working properly, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love. Like the King James says fitly joined, which I really do like, because when you're looking at framing, it has to be fitly joined.
Okay. Right.
When I put a picture in a frame, in this particular instance, if I put a certain perspective into a frame, or a situation into a perspective that is the frame, sometimes it don't fit. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's too tight, right, or fitly joined. It's that it just don't fit.
Right.
Like it's too big, square peg and round hole. It just don't work. And so we have to also understand that we got to be careful of, again, framing things weirdly, or even as the observer, as the friend, sharing a perspective that we are possibly not ready for. Thereby, in that moment, it's going to feel like it don't fit. It's going to feel like, what you trying to tell me right now, bruh? Nah, I can't do it. And so, but it goes back to that speaking the truth in love. Because if it's done in love, you got to give it. Mm-hmm. As a friend, you got to give it. Whether they're going to like it or not is really don't matter. But they're going to have to get it, so you got to give it to them. Okay, so that is, man, hold on. I just knew this was going to be awesome. So we just touched, basically, foundationally, what is framing to begin with, how we can see it, or rather, who can see it, because we usually cannot. When it comes down to reframing, we really can't see it. So we have to, we should really be leaning and trusting in, or have someone trusted to be able to do that, to be able to share that with us. Now, here's the thing, for those of us that don't have those folks in our lives, you got God. I mean, you know what I mean? You got the Holy Spirit. You just got to listen at that point. You got to listen and allow your eyes to be open to see what he's showing you about you.
And pray for those. If you don't have those people, right, my prayer would be, Lord, put these people in my life.
Yes, sir.
In
yes, sir.
there's wisdom in a multitude of counsel, right?
Yeah, you better say that.
And so I need to surround myself with people that aren't going to tell me yes, that aren't going to tell me what I want to hear, but that can give me
the show note. Okay.
The sure enough.
All right.
Truth, right. And so now some of that, right, some of that requires us to get outside of our ego, right?
Wait a minute.
We got to get outside of our ego. We got to get outside of our feelings, right? And so, and be able to, and have to hear something that we may not want to hear.
I've had this frame like this all this time.
And just because it's historical does not mean it's accurate.
Hit the button, CG. Woo! Say that one more time.
Just because it's historical doesn't make it right. Just because we've always done it this way, right? Or it's always been this way doesn't mean that's the right way to do it.
It doesn't, man. And that, bro, you just for real, you nailed the foundational concept and perspective of reframing with that statement alone, bruh. For real. Just because that's how it was historically,
right,
doesn't mean that it's correct. Just because your perspective fit around your circumstance and it's been that way for a long time,
right,
doesn't mean it doesn't need to change. OMG. Like, that's freaking nuts, bro.
Well, because
how many things have we held on to for so long just because it worked?
Right. Or we have older perspectives, right, that worked for our limited mindset, right? But now we need a higher level of perspective, right? Because we have a higher level of understanding.
Man.
Example, right? Going back into relationship and what we thought about love. What you think about love at 16 years old,
man,
right?
Man.
And what you know about love at 40 years old.
Man, and you just and see, I love words. Sidebar. God, I love this dude. Okay, so I am a huge lover of words. I because the language, and not necessarily as far as languages, right? English language or whatever, but words themselves, because they mean a lot.
Right.
That's why we have them. So there are certain things that are said a certain way where it stands out to me, okay? So the two that you put together were think and know. Bruh. There is a major difference in think and know. And when it, again, you just keep doing it, man. You just keep nailing this thing.
Let me give you one other.
Reframing.
Let me give you one other thing, too. And you'll like this because you love words.
CG.
So I've just finished this book called The Four Agreements. I don't know the name of the author. Fantastic book. You know, I do all my stuff on audiobook anyway, but check out The Four Agreements.
Four Agreements, gotcha.
But what the author says is, of all the species, man is the only one with words.
Shut your nose, yeah. Oh,
now,
yeah.
Why was man given words? It wasn't.
That's good, bro.
And my initial answer to that question was so that we can communicate.
Yeah.
No,
because
every other species communicates without words.
Yeah.
We were given words to create.
Yeah. Dude, that's deep. That's deep. Because how was the earth created? I mean, how was the world created?
How was the world? Exactly.
The world was created.
Words.
Man, with
words.
With words.
An entire universe, a whole planet.
Spoken into existence.
Okay. I mean, I just had to. I know you love words, and I knew I'd have to drop that on you. I'm sorry. We get back on. I didn't want to hit you with the rabbit trail, but I had to.
Man,
when I heard that a couple weeks ago, I was like, my mind just.
You know what?
Blown.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to get that. I'm gonna have to get that. And here's what's really dope about you sharing that nugget. It's a reason why it came up, because you said it. we have words to create. We get to use them so that we can create. What are you? And when I say you, obviously not you.
Right.
But what are you? What are we? What are we speaking?
Well, where's the power of life and death?
In the.
Okay. It's in the tongue.
In the tongue.
Okay.
In the tongue. My God, today.
The power of life and death.
Of life and death. Of existing and not existing.
It's in our words.
It's in our words, bro. It's in our words. Because it's not the muscle itself, the little wiggly thing in our mouth. Right. It's what we use it, how we form it and make it make words is life and death is, oh my gosh, bro.
So that is the answer to the question, what is the power in reframing?
Yeah.
Life and death.
Yeah.
Because if I can when I reframe my situation with my words.
That's good.
Life and death, that's the power of reframing.
That's good right there, bro. That's good. And here's the dope part. Because we had mentioned having someone else help you, right? Having that assistance is amazing. So here's the caveat. The assister, right? The friend, the confidant, the counselor, right? The pastor, the brother, the sister, girl, whatever. They have to, as that person, you got to be careful at how you're counseling a person that is in the midst of reframing, because you can end up make that situation a whole lot worse. Have that frame all kind of broke down, right? Having their whole perspective blow up in front of them, and it's just laying on the floor at this point. There is no framing it at that point. The other part is, though, because God has given us the power to speak. So again, if you can pray, and you should be praying. I think every person needs a Jonathan, right?
Right.
Every person needs a Naomi, right? Ruth had Naomi. Naomi had Ruth. David had Jonathan. Jonathan had David. Moses had Aaron, right? Right. Elijah, Elisha, Paul, Timothy. Like there's couplings, right? Because we were built for community. But specifically having those pairings is extremely important. So you pray for that. But if you don't have it, life and death is in the power of the tongue. Speak to your mind and say, mind, you got to get it together. You have to look at this differently. And then wait for the Holy Spirit to empower your mind, right? To lend the revelation to your mind for you to understand what it is you need to do to reframe whatever your circumstance or situation is. So, man, that's so dope. Okay, so, man, I can't, okay. CG just took us on a wonderful ride. A wonderful ride. All right. Reframing. Okay, so reframing is not about denying the challenges.
No.
Forced by your circumstance or your situation. Instead, reframing reveals a fresh context that draws out positive aspects of a situation and empowers or liberates you to act.
Absolutely. So when I'm reframing a situation, so here's reframing something with my words. And I started this just this year. Charles, what do you do?
Yeah.
The answer to that question is I get the opportunity to lead a small group of technology professionals in an IT startup, in an IT firm that I started 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I get
the
opportunity to lead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That, you know, and
not I'm the man, I'm the boss, I'm the owner, this is mine, me. Like you did it by yourself.
No, because I didn't.
Man.
Because I didn't.
Man. Oh my gosh.
What I get to do is I get the opportunity to lead. That is that is the stewardship opportunity that God has given me. You know what I'm saying? In my business.
You're gonna throw that word in there. You're gonna throw that in there.
So that is not I have to go to work today. Oh my God, they said be your own boss and be in the no. And all of that, I get the opportunity to lead a group of individuals. Right.
I'm gonna let you finish your thought, but you
And
threw
so-
a word in there that we got to touch at.
So I get that. I get the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to serve as assistant pastor
Mm-hmm.
at the Harvest.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I get the opportunity to be a big brother to my sister.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
To be
yeah,
a friend to you.
Yeah.
To be a friend here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so these I get the opportunity to help some people
Mm-hmm.
that are less fortunate than me.
Yeah, man.
And so maybe in some financial areas
Yeah.
and some other areas, you know.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so not, oh my God, these people always, why are people asking for help?
I mean,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
And so
I mean.
I'm changing my perspective
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
I'm getting the opportunity to steward my body
Yes, sir.
at 5:30
Yes, sir.
in the morning.
Uh,
right? But
That's early.
but I'm and 5:30 gonna come quick. But it's not, oh, I don't want to go work out. I'm getting this opportunity because everybody does not have that opportunity.
Boy, you gonna make me shout in the studios. What you gonna do? You gonna make me run in here, dog.
And so I need to be grateful for it
Yes,
while
sir.
I still have it, because
Yes, sir.
it was not promised that there's no contract, there's no nothing anywhere says that I am owed or entitled to any of the opportunities that I have in my life. And so I better be grateful for them.
For real. For real.
You know what I'm saying?
real.
I don't know why I didn't
For
get
real.
10 talents, but I know that I better do something with the one that I have.
Yeah, not even the two. With
Not
the one.
with the one, because I don't know but was he an ungrateful servant?
Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm gonna find it right there because that's a good one. That's a good one. The parable of the 10 talents.
If
I
I
mean, the
just
parable of the
bury it,
talents.
right? If I just
Ooh.
bury that one, I am an ungrateful servant.
That's, oh my gosh, of the talents. So, and I'm not ashamed to Google
That's all right.
the scriptures, doc. For real,
And
for real.
I was actually thinking about that on the way up here, man. But it was just like, it's what I do with the one talent. I don't know why I didn't get 10, and I know somebody that got 10, and I don't know why they got 10, and I don't know why this joker got 5.
I mean,
And I have to.
but I'm gonna do with.
But on Judgment Day, God's not asking me why he got 10 and why he got 5. What he's asking me is,
did
what
you
am I
do?
doing with the one?
Well, okay. So, oh man, we're gonna snapshot it. All right. So the parable of the talents. Actually, no, we're not gonna snapshot it. We got time. Shoot, we got time. We're gonna go into this word. Matthew 25:14 through 30. Super dope parable. All right, this is out of the ESV. Man, that's a good one, CG. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, so, for it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. Man. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, and each according to his ability. Each according to his ability. Like you asked, I don't know why I didn't get 5.
Right.
Well, you were given what you were given according to your ability. Anyway, then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once. Not eventually. At once, man. He went and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also, he who had 2 talents made 2 talents more. We don't know how he got it, but he got 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, which means he had time to do something else. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here, I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also, who had 2 talents, came forward saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here, I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also, who had received the 1 talent, here we go. Lord have mercy. I'm nervous right now. I'm sweating. Came forward saying, Master, he came forward with an excuse. Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. But his master answered him, you wicked and slothful servant.
Wicked and slothful.
Wicked and slothful. And then he said, you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and I gather where I have not scattered. So you knew this about me, and you still did nothing? And you knew this about me? Listen, he said,
wicked and slothful.
Wicked and slothful. You wicked and lazy. Jesus. He said, then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming, I should have received what was my own with interest. So if you was going to just set it somewhere, the least you could have done was set it in the bank, let it grow. If you wasn't going to do nothing with it because you're slothful, the least you could have done was let it gain some interest.
So then,
oh my gosh, EG.
So then is God then saying, right, even if I just give you 1 talent,
just 1,
I should expect that back with interest.
Because who's to say dude even, like the other one went right away. Right away and traded, right? May 5. Says the other one went and picked up 2 more. Doesn't say how, but we do know the one with the 1 dug a hole, and dropped that giant in there, and waited. Master was gone a long time. Like, who knows whether he knew what to do or not? Which is quite interesting that the master even like offered that nugget. Like, you could at the very least, because what you did was just sit it. You ain't do nothing with it. You just let it sit. You could have let it sit somewhere where it was going to do something. That's a word right there. Because in reframing, you gotta move. You gotta do something in order for your circumstance to change so that you can see it differently. If you just let it sit there, like you said, just because this is how it looked for historically, doesn't mean that it's correct. It doesn't mean that it's right. At some point, you got to do something with this thing so that your perspective changes, so that you start to reframe the narrative. You're just sitting on it. It ain't changing. It ain't changing. And then it is going to hurt when somebody comes and tells you, bro, you tripping. You are straight up tripping. And it's not going to feel like love because you didn't do anything with it. You're not even trying. Like, what? But you said stewardship. You said stewardship. In reframing any narrative, any perspective, sometimes it has to be reframed in the first place because the circumstance of the situation wasn't stewarded correctly to begin with.
Right.
So it ain't had nothing to do with the frame. You didn't do with it what you should have. Now it has to be reframed because you weren't a good steward over it.
Okay.
Right? So we're both in our 40s. I didn't work out once I hit my late teens. I was just hitting the block, playing ball, stuff like that, but I didn't actually work out. I didn't do anything specific. I wasn't a poor steward over my body, but I wasn't an intentional steward over my body.
Okay.
So now I get into my 20s, kind of the same thing. Not really doing much of anything. But playing ball, ripping and running out here for these streets. I was in Houston. I was for the streets in Houston, and I was really healthy. Kind of. I sweated a lot. I'll say that.
Okay.
I sweated a lot. I was scrapping 235, 240 because I was always ripping and running, always getting into somebody handle business getting into. So that kept me thin. So again, not being a poor steward over my body, but not being an intentional steward over my body.
Right.
I get married at 24, right? Young. Get married at 24. And when I tell you I settled, for the first maybe 2.5, 3 years of my marriage, I was still about 240, 250. By the time I separated, just before separation, the last time I was at the doctor, I was up to 350.
Wow.
Now, granted, I've been married at that point for about 17 years. So that's a gradual, continual not being a good steward, not being an intentional steward. So fast forward to, you know what? Not only do I have to get my mind right, I got to get my body right. I mean, I was on the CPAP, you know what I mean? I snore, bruh. I'm talking shaking the pitches off the wall snoring. Like, you know what I mean? ADHD, so that didn't help.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
Like, so now I want to go to the gym. And I get with my homeboy and we start going to the gym. At first we were doing like 3 days a week. He a big fella too. And it was tough, but I was energized to do it.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I got to make a change.
Right.
I got to do something different. So he was energized. I was energized to do it. And now I'm wanting to be a better steward. And now I'm being intentional about stewardship over my body, but it's hard. It's hard. Because I've let so much time pass, man, there's videos for this. And you could do this to target this area, and you could do this to target that area. I just want to unbig my back, doc. Like,
right.
Why I gotta be in this way and that way just to, like, what? So much has come.
Well, but for a couple of reasons. Number one, and see, you were an unintentional steward, as you said. I was a poor steward. I just sign me up on that one. I was an absolute poor steward.
I feel you. I could be in that boat too.
And so now, right at 44, I want to, and see, I'm trying to avoid those things. Doctor says, hey, we need to look at the CPAP.
I'm saying,
hey, you're one
man.
You are one
man.
She was. What did she say? How did she say it? She was like, you like one donut away from being diabetic. Like I'm borderline. I'm on edge. She's like,
just real talk.
Everything is right there. Like you know. And so I'm trying to avoid this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm doing the things that I need to do, but I've got to undo. I can't just put a new frame on. I've got to take this old frame off.
Bruh.
You know what I'm saying? That this old frame is damaged, and before we can put a new frame
with no problem
on it, we just can't slap.
Quick swap. I'm just gonna drop this joint on here. Not now.
Nah, it don't work that way.
Not now.
Right.
Stuff done built up on it.
Right.
Man,
so
bruh.
now I gotta undo everything that I've done. Right. I've got to, and so we look at Israel, and we look at them in their 11-day journey, on what should have been an 11-day journey on foot that took 40 years. We look at them with judgment, right? And I looked this up for context. I was like, how many miles is that, right? I don't remember how many miles it was. But now, but basically, it is the equivalent of Fort Worth, Texas, to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay.
That is okay. So that's as far from Egypt to Canaan. Is Fort Worth, Texas to Little Rock.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh.
So
perspective.
Right.
Bruh.
So 40 years to get there, but it's because old frame had to come off mindsets, right?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And and we just couldn't just move you into this with this old mindset. The guy literally was like, yeah, I took y'all out the hood, but the hood is still in y'all, and I got
this hood got to come up out you.
Right.
This hood got to come on
and
up.
the crazy part is, God was like, for the hood to come out, I'm gonna have to, I can't even pull the hood out you. We're gonna just let it die off. Okay. Yeah. You think about that?
Because there's sometimes I've been like, God, just take it. Come on, please just take it. I'm tired of dealing with this thing, man. Just come on and take it. Because I know you can.
Right.
But sometimes it just it got to die off. Dang, bruh. Oh, my big toe hurt right now. I don't like you. I don't like you.
But yeah, I just,
oh my gosh.
Thinking about
That's
that,
good.
I'm like, man, what in my life am I taking forever to get to Little Rock on? You know what I'm saying?
Short trip. Short trip, bro. You ain't even got to get on a plane and do that.
No.
Man, come on, bro. And perspective. Like, for real, reframing, it's really deep. The power of reframing is really deep because the layers are there, and each layer can help you, right? Because I think reframing is something that is going to be constant. As a matter of fact, the Bible tells us that we are supposed to be taking up our cross daily, right? We're supposed to be stripping off this flesh daily.
Right.
Like, so, and daily I pray, God, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. Like, daily I'm asking for a reframing, right? And so the power of reframing is just so deep, man, from a foundational perspective and then forward.
Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world,
but be
transformed
by the renewing, my God, today, by the renewing of your mind.
I mean, that's reframing right there.
By the renewing of your mind. Can you read that again and just we not jot and tittle, right? We ain't not messing up nothing. But I want to hear it with reframing in that scripture.
Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the reframing of your mind.
Man.
Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. His good
and
pleasing and perfect will. That's the NIV, Romans 12.
I hit the button for you.
Come on.
Bruh.
And so, and I got to do this one because this is another scripture that I absolutely love, and that's 2 Corinthians 10:5.
All right.
We demolish every argument, every pretense that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ.
Man.
Taking captive these thoughts, man. I got ADHD like you, right? I will overthink something.
I'm telling you.
In a minute.
I'm telling you.
It is so easy to do.
Sometimes I underthink.
And so I've got to take captive those thoughts. And so
pray for me.
One taking captive the thought, right, is no, wait a minute. I'm not accepting that.
Right,
I'm not accepting that thought that I'm not gonna have enough, or I'm not enough, or I'm not. So that's number one. Number two, I'm gonna make it obedient to Christ in that no, I am enough. I'm more than a conqueror.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can do all things through Christ.
Man.
You know, and so I'm fearfully and wonderfully made.
Man.
Because the devil will plant these thoughts that do not belong, that are on the wrong frame, that do not protect this artwork, this work of art that God has created. Right.
Oh my gosh, dude. Man, listen, oh man. This has been so dope. Okay.
Now we're over time, but
hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We're going to wrap here. I think this was awesome. This is something that I think we can come back to and look at again for sure, because there are a few other kind of quick little like examples of how we can, reframe. Again, like distant possibilities, reframing them and looking at them as near possibilities, unlikeliness as it pertains to lack of understanding. So instead of something just being, unkindness, framing someone's unkindness and reframing it and looking at that as a lack of understanding, right? Because a lot of things end up happening and people end up acting out because of ignorance, right? Lack of knowledge. And so people navigate a certain way because they don't know, right? So I definitely we're going to have to come back to this. We're going to come back to this. I don't know. Our next episode is we're going to touch that other subject.
Okay. All right.
However, we are going to have to come back to the power of reframing. Man, check it out. Y'all have been gracefully tuned in to Faith and Fire Podcast, a podcast that's all about sharing God's wisdom, insight, revelation, hope, and love, one conversation at a time. I'm Ken Bishop. I'm your host, along with my co-host, CG on them. Man, listen, we love you guys. We're gonna get this out so you can rock with us. Stay tuned for the next episode. That is going to be coming up, and you're gonna want to definitely check that out. Like I said, we're gonna have to hit reframing again. We're gonna have to hit reframing again because it's a good one. It's a good one. I mean, the power of reframing, nothing like it. So here's the thing. We don't typically, share any type of call to Christ or anything like that in our podcast. It's not for lack of desire. It just usually doesn't become a part of it. However, what I would say is, because we're believers, because we are ministers of the gospel, this is a very important part of any opportunity to share. And so for those that are having a problem with or questions about reframing, number one, reframing your perspective. Number one, you got to get in your prayer closet. Mm-hmm. You got to pray. You got to seek God on this thing. And if you don't know how to do that because you don't have a relationship, the only way is through Christ. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And nobody gets to him. Nobody gets to God but through him.
Right.
So, listen, you got to accept him into your heart. Romans 8? Romans 8. Read Romans 8. That gives you it actually gives you the salvation prayer, the salvation message, and lets you know how you can receive Christ into your heart so that you can then have the tool, right? The power of the Holy Spirit to assist you in reframing, right? So we admonish you and encourage you to do just that. You can also reach out to us on social media, things of that nature. We are available, and let's keep the conversation going. So stay tuned. Next episode is coming right at you.